everybody, and welcome to SA Rugby Magazine. I'm Kevin Ferguson, or the Moneyman, and I've got Gavin Rich, who's Rich Pickings. Gavin, let's talk about our results last week. I said Wales would lose by 25. They did. Yeah. I said Ireland would lose by 13 or more. They did. And I also said that Italy would beat Scotland, and you laughed at me, I think.
Well, I thought it was possible, but then we said anything. I didn't know it was going to rain. I didn't look at the weather forecast. I didn't look at the weather forecast and
boy, did it rain! It was like I just watched the movie Noah, and that's the kind of rain that was coming down that day. Jeez, man, it was prolific.
I mean, it sounds strange making that excuse for Scotland because they play out of Edinburgh, where
rains.
And I've been there. Yeah, I've been there a lot, and it just rains. But at the moment, Scotland are based around their strength is based around their backs and around their running game. So that didn't help them, and their forwards are pretty poor at the moment. But So it was a surprising result for me, just in the sense that, or maybe it's not, because maybe we need to start looking at the coaching of Scotland.
Because
Glasgow Warriors are doing really well, and they've got quite a lot of the Scottish team, but they're under Franco Smith as the coach, whereas these guys are being coached by Gregor Townsend, who's coming under a lot of pressure now.
Yeah, and rightly so. I mean, teams have to kick on and move on. It's not good enough to just keep losing to the All Blacks and various teams by 5-6. Yeah. This sort of brave effort only takes you so far.
It does, and they haven't really progressed. That's the problem. I mean, they've been competitive. I mean, Scotland are always competitive. They've been competitive for a long. I remember Vern Cotter was their coach in 2015. They were competitive then. Remember, they played the Springboks in the World Cup at St James's Park in Newcastle. I was there for that game, and they were a competitive team. The Springboks won, but they needed to be respected. It was when Josh Strauss, remember the bearded South African, was playing for them. So they've been competitive for a long time, and there must be pressure at some stage for them to kick on and go to the next level, because Glasgow are showing, because they beat Toulouse in the Champions Cup, and they also smashed Saracens. Glasgow are showing that it's not like there's no talent in Scotland. There's definitely some certainly at the back. I mean, with Finn Russell and Hugh Jones and Tony Tuluputo, they've got very good. And I don't know why Blair Kinghorn didn't play last week, because he's not injured apparently, and they're talking about him possibly returning for their next game against England. But Blair Kinghorn's a very important player, I think, in that side.
Look, I think there's no doubt. I love the Italian coach. I really do.
Yeah.
Well, I saw a great piece on him, and they're moving in the right direction. But whatever that direction is not the direction of a tier 1 team. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But so that says to me that from a Scotland point of view, you lose to Italy. Remember when we lost to Italy? It was a national mourning.
Yeah, back in 2016.
Yeah. I remember it well. Some great chirps going on around here.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the only time that we've lost to Scotland, and it probably will be the only time. I mean, sorry, it's the only time we've lost to Italy. Well, there was a long time when South Africa just weren't ever expected to lose to Scotland either, and then they lost a couple in their very bad years. Yeah,
and many to Wales.
Sorry,
and many to Wales.
They lost many to Wales also during a time when South Africa weren't doing too well.
No, agreed. So. Good result for Italy, so that that relinquishes any potential for them for a wooden spoon.
Well,
You talk about when we look at it this week, we've got England versus Scotland for the Calcutta Cup. Always a great game, and Scotland tend to raise their game by 4 or 5 decibels to play England.
Yeah,
all the Celtic teams do. Why? Because Celtic and Saxons don't get along.
Exactly.
We can't stand them.
Well, I've got a Scottish wife, and the English. I don't know what Sassenach means, but the people in Scotland call them Sassenachs.
It's not a compliment.
It's probably not a compliment.
No.
And it's probably, if it was translated, it probably wouldn't be fit for air. But
see you next Tuesday, I think.
There's a long history of Scotland's history. If you look at their their big wins. I know that there was a win over France, I think, in 1984 that I remember watching that was huge. But generally, Scottish rugby history is based around their wins over England. The Calcutta Cup in 2000 in 1990. Then one a couple of, I think it was 20 years ago. There was another where they were challenging for the Six Nations and they won. But they win a lot of games against England at Murrayfield, and they haven't lost there for a while.
Well, if you look at the national anthems of countries, and you look at Scotland and Wales, but Scotland in particular in this conversation, there's actual reference to battles and fights, and they're against the English.
It's true. So
it's the only anthem in the world where someone says, and send them home again to think again. They're singing about the English.
Yeah, they're not singing about any of the rest of us.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, when the Springboks go there, you don't have to worry. They're not referring to you. They're referring to
it's tunnel vision for the English, and such as, Robert the Bruce, all these things. So when you think about battles with England and that, it's not just about rugby, it's about the battles that took place a couple hundred years ago, which I've kind of moved on from, but they clearly haven't.
Well, I was reading Courtney Lawes, the former Lions in England flanker, his column in the Times this morning, and he basically sort of put it out there. He said, listen, he's sick and tired of this Scotland hate us, and so it's the only good game that they play every year. And he said that Scotland will only progress as a rugby nation and challenge for Six Nations titles when they lose their obsession with England.
No, keep the hatred on England. I don't mind.
And play everybody like they play against England, because he just says, and he spoke about in his time, obviously playing against England, and he said it's the only place we ever went and got booed. We get booed before the game. We get booed when we get out of the bus. He says like the hatred there is so sort of like palpable.
Well, I say that, it's easy to say, okay, we should play that way against every team. You should, but you don't have the history with every team.
Yeah, no, you don't.
The England.
But if you can raise your game in that particular match, then surely, like on a given day when you're playing, for instance, the All Blacks, you should be able to raise your game in the same way. Or is it there's something? I mean, well, we know. I mean, I know that from looking back into South African rugby's not so distant past. Heineke Meyer would motivate the Bulls like on the basis of almost as if it was a reenactment of the Boer War when they're playing Western Province, which was ridiculous because and it shouldn't there shouldn't be that thing, but there was. I mean, I was told by some players that they were reminded that their forefathers were fed glass in the concentration camps and stuff like that. So, and that's not that long ago. I mean,
no,
the Bulls coaches of the past probably did do that, and there might. I don't know if there is a reverse. I don't know if the hatred is reversed in the same way, but
don't think so.
No, it can't be. So it's not unusual. And
Tom Jones said that best. It's not unusual.
Yeah. So, Welsh did produce some good things. Tom Jones being one, but
yeah.
So look, it makes that game really difficult to predict, because
not for the bookies.
If we're moving forward, and starting to look at the weekend games and making predictions, I would struggle to make a prediction, because Scotland are always competitive against England. Last year they lost, and it was the first time in a long time they lost to England. They lost 16-15. I don't know if you remember that game. It was at Twickenham. Scotland scored 3 tries to 1 in that game. Finn Russell missed every kick. Otherwise, Scotland would have a perfect record that goes back 5 or 6 years now against England. So that means something. I'm one of those people. There's this old saying that the only thing that man has learned from history is that man doesn't learn from history. Well, I'm one of the people who does look at history and think that there's some relevant, and the fact that Scotland have such a good record against England can't just be swept away. There has to be a reason for that. So I don't know what you're going to tell me what the bookies say. Are the bookies backing England?
Of course.
Well, based on
sensibly, yes. They dismantled Wales by how many points?
Yeah, 48-7, so 41 points. Yeah, but that was Wales.
Yeah. Yeah, and what the Boks do to Wales, but there was a B team or whatever.
Yeah, but I mean, it was in Cardiff as well, whereas this game was in Twickenham, and you'd expect England to beat Wales comfortably at Twickenham.
Yeah, so wasn't a test for England, really, was it?
It wasn't. I mean, this
men against boys.
This to me, the interest in the Six Nations weekend for me this weekend is that game, the one in Edinburgh, because to me it's a big test of England's improvement, England's right to be considered as one of the big challenges for next year's World Cup. And I'll tell you why, is because the Springboks, okay, they did lose to Scotland 20 years ago. In fact, I think the last time they lost there was 2000, probably around about 2012, somewhere there. They did lose to Scotland in one of their bad years. But generally, South Africa doesn't lose to Scotland when they go to, and they certainly wouldn't in this era. I know that. I mean, Scotland, I think, lost by 15 points to the Springboks last time they played there, and the Scotland were celebrating the fact they'd only lost by 15 points. Yeah. New Zealand go there, and they often get pushed for 60 minutes, but then they end up winning. So you've got to look at that and say, well, England, even despite the fact that we know that the Scots grow an extra arm and a leg when they play against England, England should be, if they want to be World Cup contenders, they should be expecting to win against Scotland in Edinburgh. And not only that, they should be expected to win with something to spare. So I think there's a lot of pressure on England because they've got this, 11-match winning streak
12.
now? 12-match winning streak now, which is very impressive, but not a lot of those games have been big games away from home. In fact, I think I'm right in saying that the last time they lost was to Ireland in Dublin. So that's the last really big game that they had that they went away. I mean, they played all the other big games at home. They played New Zealand at London. They've played all the other teams in London. So this to me is a big test for England because they need to win at what is a bogey ground for them against bogey opponents. And they need to get that monkey off the back, I think.
So if they do,
well, let's put it this way: if they don't win on Saturday, they're not going to win the rugby champion. They're not going to win the Six Nations.
No,
and they need to really win the Six Nations to establish themselves as prime, or at least finish second to France to establish themselves as prime contenders for next year's World Cup.
So the bookies say England by 8.5 points or more. What's your thoughts on that?
I wouldn't go for as many as that. I'd bet against that. I'm not going to say that Scotland will win, but I'd be surprised if they lost by. My money would say that they would lose by less than the 9 points you're talking about.
I disagree with that.
Okay.
I think I've seen nothing from Scotland. Okay,
so but you don't need to see anything from Scotland.
I know, and
you know that they're hurting after losing to Italy. It's actually a prime sort of Scottish situation. They rank underdogs. Everybody's writing them off. Their coach is under pressure.
No. I know they'll go home. They'll watch fucking Braveheart.
Yeah.
The night before and come
exactly.
into the change rooms with the blue paint on, screaming, "You can take our lives, we can't take our freedom." Go out and put in a pucker performance for 80 minutes. But I still think England have enough to continue with scoreboard pressure.
I think they've got enough to win. I just wouldn't. I would sort of say it almost as unnecessary to bet on England winning by more than 8. It's sort of, it almost seems a bit. That's sort of almost expecting too much. I mean, it can happen, obviously.
Of course.
Yes, of course it can happen. And I mean, it wouldn't
happen.
It wouldn't surprise me that it would happen, but I don't know if I would bet. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if I was going to bet big money. I don't know if I would bet on a.
I'm not going to bet big money, but I'll put 1,000 down for England to win by 8.5 or more. Just
okay.
If I'm going to have to bet, that's where I'm betting. And
okay, you see, okay. So let's get technical about this game. Scotland will be brilliant for an hour, because they always are against England, and they're going to. And if they take the opportunities, because they do create a lot of opportunities, and England's defence is, it wasn't really tested last week, and they've often been question marks over their defence. If England's defence is, if Scotland can build up a big. I think for Scotland to win, they need to be in the lead. I'll tell you why. It's because England have developed we have a bomb squad. They have a bomb squad. Steve Borthwick has developed that. He's got Henry Pollock on the bench, and he's got Jamie George, I think, on the bench. He's got some good players on the bench. So they've got a bench that can shift gears later on. And the Scotland of the recent past have tended to run out of puff in the last 20 minutes. I mean, they did against the All Blacks, and you remember that game where we didn't watch it together, but we were in WhatsApp contact against Argentina, where you thought I was an idiot because I'd said that Argentina were going to win, and they were down.
I think they were down by 20
points.
Tries,
they were down by about 20 points, and they came back to win the game in the second half. So Scotland there's a serious question mark over Scotland's
Look, I think without a shadow of a doubt, Gregor Tanzan's the wrong coach for that team.
Well, he maybe is now, yeah.
I think
you eventually get to a point where you pass your sell-by date, and I think that's probably is the case now. There's too much of the same old shit, if you like.
There's better coaches out there.
Yeah, well, Franco Smith.
Yeah. So to me, that's the biggest problem with Scotland is you've got a guy that's is past his sell-by date, and he should be removed and new blood brought in there. Yep, they're going to raise their game. They'll watch Braveheart. They'll talk Robert the Bruce. They'll do all this stuff, which gives them a motivation which they don't have against any other team because they don't have the history against any other team, as stated.
Yeah.
So, they'll be good and competitive for a while. But I just think England have too much. Too much, And, they weren't tested against Wales. But Scotland were tested against Italy and came up short.
Yeah. Well, this is the big test. As I say, it's the big test for England. So what I'm saying is that I'm still saying that England, to some extent, are unproven until they've played this game.
Well, they've won 12 in a row.
They have won 12 in a row, but as I said, they haven't played Scotland in Murrayfield in that time.
Now,
and they were let off the hook by Scotland last year at Twickenham by Finn Russell missing a conversion, missing actually every kick he took at goal.
Now, what do you think Ireland are favoured over Italy? This is an interesting one because now Italy are going to test themselves against a supposed top tier team, in Ireland. You have to still assume they're a top tier team, though they lost by 22 or something points last week, and they could have lost by more. They were never in that game.
I think 15 points.
18.5 is what the bookies are saying.
Yeah, I'd say between 15 and 20. I mean, I would expect Ireland to win by that score.
You'd expect it.
Yeah, 33-18.
Yeah, see, the problem with the Italians is you're coming from a victory where you put your heart and soul into it.
Exactly.
So you celebrate like it's the World Cup, right?
Exactly, and Ireland are in that situation where they need to respond. I mean, the reaction to last week's defeat has been pretty dire in Ireland. I mean, people are talking about them no longer being a top contender anymore, and the demise of Irish rugby has been sort of written up already, and they need to go up and sort of and prove that they're not dead yet. So, I mean, do you do that against Italy though? That's the thing. I mean, it's
well, Italy are trending in the right way. I'm not going to bet on this game because of the factors of Italy draining themselves from beating Scotland. An emotional game. You saw how they celebrated afterwards.
Yeah.
So I won't be touching it, but depending on the weather, I wouldn't touch it.
If it's going to be sunny in Edinburgh, it'll probably be sunny in Dublin because that's just across the ditchery. I mean, I've flown between those two places. It's not a long flight. And go over the water and then suddenly I'm actually talking rubbish. I'm talking about my flight to Cardiff.
It's never sunny in Cardiff.
It's never sunny.
So you're in the wrong city, mate.
I'm in the wrong city. But no, look, I'd expect Ireland to win by, I'm saying 15 points. That if you asked me to sort of give you a difference between the two teams. How bad are Ireland? And how good are France? That's the question. I mean, France were really good last week.
Well, yeah, and the interesting thing, all three games are good betting propositions because you got France. What did they beat Wales by last year? 2 points.
Yeah, they were very close against Wales. Yeah,
and that game was in France, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, but there's a complacency element or something that comes in, and so that's why I'm saying
you play down to the team you're playing.
Yeah, and so I'm saying that with that Ireland playing against Italy, yes, Ireland have a lot to gain in the sense of trying to prove that their demise isn't what people think it is. But at the same time, you also know in the back of your mind that you're playing Italy and you're not playing England or France. I mean, those would be their big games, or even Scotland. Because
look, that can work against teams when teams are transitioning like Italy are, that are definitely on an upward trend. There's no doubt about that they're a better team than they were 2 years ago. So sometimes you underestimate, it's Italy. And you show up and you put on and you go through the motions sometimes. And like you see with Scotland, they got the short end of the stick.
Yeah.
But Ireland will win. There's no doubt about that. They'll have enough to win. But will they win by 19 points or more? I'm not sure. That's why I won't touch.
No,
this
I'm
game.
not. I'm with you on that. I wouldn't touch that one. Well, not with that spread. I think it's going to be 15. I'll go with 31-16 to Ireland, something like that.
Now here's the. Let's go to Wales, France.
Mm-hmm.
In Wales, 31.5 point margin. And as an astute person or someone that understands rugby, I can't even comment on that because either way it could like it's the French, they beat Ireland. They're now playing in Wales. Are they going to show up? Who knows?
You sort of expect Wales to be really motivated for this game. They're playing at home, and that they're the land of our fathers and all that.
But they could be they could have the greatest motivation
and
in the
they've
world.
they've got like this whole sort of Damocles hanging over a Welsh rugby because of the regions being cut and all that. So there's so much like adversity that they're up against. So you'd almost want to say, well, they should be too motivated to lose by 30 points, but no, they've just become so rank awful.
Yeah, the worst top tier nation in the world, without shadow of a doubt.
Exactly. Well, I mean, their 2 wins in the last 2 years have been against Japan.
Yeah.
So there's absolutely nothing to go on with Wales at the moment, unfortunately. There is the little bright spark. I told you that their under-20 team only lost by 3 points to England under-20 the other day, and some Welsh are seeing some hope in that. And apparently the under-20 team is quite useful. So maybe Welsh rugby isn't dead and it might rise again, but it's not going to rise on Saturday.
No, when you're looking for, those are the kind of hopeful things you look for as a Welshman. With this team, is look at the under-20s. We may even be looking at the under-15s for some positive stuff. It's
exactly.
so bad.
Under-8s,
rugby. Yeah.
No. Is rugby still alive in Wales?
No, it's not. I mean, when I was there for the Buck game, no one was talking about the game.
Yeah.
No one, not one person. In fact, they said, "Well, we hope that South Africa win because then we can leave early."
Well, isn't it true that Swansea and who's Cardiff, the two, they were both in the Premier League. I'm talking about the round ball game a couple of years ago, and they're not anymore. But they've still got a heck of a lot of support. So.
Yeah, and Wrexham are challenging for promotion to the Premier League. That'll be interesting.
Okay.
There's six in the Champions League right now.
Yeah. Okay.
So, who knows? But yeah, don't underestimate the amount of interest that went on to football, especially the Premier League when you had 2 teams in the Premier League.
Yeah. I was there. I was in Wales. I can't remember which tour it was. I was in Wales when I can't remember Swansea or Cardiff, but they were both in the Premier League. But one of them was doing quite well, and it was almost the soccer had become the talking point in Wales.
Yeah, and right. I mean, the Premier League's a huge league, and
yeah,
it's it took Wales from being a rugby nation to being, and look at the success with the Welsh national team as well. Was it Gary Speed that died of a fixie wank or something like that?
I don't know. Was it? Actually, I don't know.
It was. So we had Ryan Giggs and him shagging somebody's wife. It became tabloid news, and the Premier League became the biggest thing. And with the Welsh team getting to the semi-finals of the European Cup that one year, I think we lost to Portugal. Yeah. So I'm for it, but Wales will not. I can't even look at this and make a bet at 31.5. It's actually embarrassing and a shame that we're a home team with a minus 31.5. I don't think it's ever happened in the Six Nations where we've taken a minus 31.5 point deficit. I'm not even sure if we were minus 31.5 point underdogs against South Africa at home with a B team.
I can't remember. No,
I can't remember, but it was. I mean, this is a huge thing. I wouldn't touch it. But France will win the game.
France will win the game. Look, I mean, 31 points is a lot of points in Cardiff. And you've got a Welsh team a French team that last week produced a statement performance against Ireland, but is known for sometimes being a little bit off the following week. So I'm thinking about what you're saying and sort of thinking, well, how much money would you get back if you said that they were going to lose by less than 31?
Even money, nine to 10.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I would. It wouldn't surprise me if they lost by less than 31.
No, it
They
wouldn't
raised
surprise
their
me.
game and that they made it. What did they lose to the All Blacks by? Remember they played that game against the All Blacks and everybody was saying, well, was it?
I think 26.
Yeah.
I think it was 52 to 26 or something.
Yes,
like
it
that.
was, and the Welsh saw some positive in that. So
They were brave that day.
yeah, so maybe they're going to go out there to limit. You see, this is the thing. So if we know what Wales are doing, so I saw an article this week which was very good. I thought, asking the question, why are Wales so preoccupied with attack when their head coach is actually a defence coach? Steve Tanny apparently is a very good defence coach. So if Wales get into that mindset where they think, okay, we're playing against France, we need to go out for damage limitation instead of actually trying to sort of try and score tries. Maybe they can limit the damage. And I mean, they did that to the Box a couple of seasons ago when we were expecting a 50 and they didn't quite make that because the Welsh just went out to.
Well, I think the last era of great defence from Wales came when was it Sean Edwards?
Sean Edwards is now at France, so it's actually
yeah. So I mean, we had a smothering defence, and you couldn't score against Wales. Now anybody can score against Wales.
Yeah, no.
We're a bad team. We're embarrassment.
73-0 the Springboks won, and as you say, it was a B team, but I mean, it should have been 90.
Should have been 100.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I wouldn't touch that. I'll take the 8.5 with England to beat Scotland. I won't touch Italy. I won't touch Wales. I'll be an eager viewer.
I agree with you. Yeah.
But look, it'll
don't touch them. But I'm not sure I'd even touch the Scotland game.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's
we don't have to agree.
I did tell people to bet on Italy last week,
and they did.
I hope they did. But yeah, that's about it from the Six Nations point of view. Do we want to touch on anything South Africa? Because it's kind of the season meandering a bit right now. It's
Well, so I mean, we got okay. So next week we've got a Sharks Lions game to look forward to. So that's the game they're catching up that they were supposed to play at Christmas time. So we've got that and obviously that's going to be a very interesting game from the point of view of can the Sharks back up, because the Sharks are a little bit like Scotland in the sense that right now when they play the Stormers, you feel that they've got that sort of like Calcutta Cup mentality that Scotland get. Scotland get.
They get fired up for it. Huh?
Yeah, they do. And maybe it comes out of respect, because I mean the Stormers have beaten them quite a lot in the last couple of years. So there was huge respect. They came down here and they beat the Stormers here, and then they went to Durban, and then they're going to go to Ellis Park next week. And I don't think they've got the same level of respect for the Lions that they have for the Stormers. And we'll see then if the Springboks get themselves up to the same degree. But I think that the interesting thing to me that happened this week locally was not the announcement, because it hasn't been announced yet, but I am told that it's going to happen, is Hikchiva Diamani coming back to the Stormers. And the reason that is interesting is firstly the Stormers have a lock crisis. So Salman Marat is out until May. Ruben van Heerden has now joined him on the sidelines, and he's going to be out at least until April. So because he's had surgery on his thumb or something, they got caught in one of the Sharks' pants at a line out towards the end of that game. It's a horrible injury.
It's a bit embarrassing to lay claim to. I had my hands to someone's pants and I tore my thumb.
So he's out for a while. So the Stormers suddenly don't have as many locks as they had, and that was one of their strengths. They had 4 quality locks. Now they've only got 2 in Andre Smith and JD Schickerling, and then Andre, and then obviously Dobbo's pushing through Connor Evans. I don't think he's quite hit the notes that we hope yet. But he's got
the Stormers have a
young.
pretty easy schedule when they get back, don't they?
Yeah. Well, they're playing the Lions in Joburg, which is never that easy, and then they're playing the Bulls at Pretoria. But then they have an easy schedule after that. But so that without the 2 locks, they've got Ben Jason Dixon, who's played most of his rugby at blindside flank recently, but who started his career as much as a lock as a flank. And he did say in a press conference I was I was in about 2 or 3 weeks ago, he did say he'd like to play lock again.
Cool.
So that's probably what's going to happen, is that Chiva Diamani will come back and play number 7, and they'll move Ben Jason Dixon to lock. And why it's interesting to me, because it changes the outlook a bit for the Stormers, because it brings a different dynamic. Having suddenly, if you've got Ben Jason Dixon at lock, and you've got Chiva on the flank, you've got a more sort of mobile pack than a sort of pack that's going to go out muscle the opposition. And then it speaks more towards that word that I hate, which is the Stormers' DNA. They're running attacking DNA, because Chiva is a player who, unless he's changed whilst he's been in France, and he may have changed positively in another way, because one of the reasons he went to France was he wanted Stuart Lancaster to teach him the dark arts of forward play. In other words, to hit rucks and do that sort of thing. So Chiva is genuinely a sort of a hybrid. He doesn't even need Rassie to turn into a hybrid. He is a player who's as much a back as he is a forward.
No, but it's one of the things you mentioned there, which worries me, is the depth in the Stormers teams now being tested at lock position. Right?
Exactly.
And so you going into 2 derbies.
Yeah, the derbies are worrying, but after that you're playing home games.
But how are they going to look after the derbies? Because those derbies can be brutal. And I can tell you now, with the way that the Bulls are starting to polish their game, they will test the Stormers.
The Stormers beat the Bulls in Cape Town with Ben Jason at lock in 2023. So I think Ben Jason can be a good lock. But you're right. There's that. So I don't know how long Ruan Ackerman's out, but Ruan Ackerman, when he returns, will bolster their loose forward stocks. Dion Ferree, we don't talk about Dion Ferree when we're talking about locks, obviously, because we're talking about or blindside flanks, because he can only really play open side flank or actually hooker. Actually, he's played at number 8 before as well. But Dion Ferree's coming back from injury, so he brings experience, he brings extra loose forward option. And Keke Marabi, who Dobbo wants to turn into a number 6 but can also be a good number 8, is also coming back into the mix. So you've got to also look at the loose forward depth. So the loose forward depth might be able to cover a bit for the lock depth, in the sense that Ben Jason Dixon can go to lock. And Connor Evans, who I mentioned earlier, has also played number 7 a few times this season. So there's a little bit of interchangeability there. But you're right. To me, it's a big blow. The only positive is that, you see, this is with the Stormers go into a whole lot of home games against I think the first one's against Dragons. Then they play Edinburgh, who they should beat in Cape Town, and they'll be chasing bonus points in all those games. So that fast-paced attacking game is actually what you want in those games. At the end of the season, they play Ulster and Cardiff away. They play them north of the equator. I'm talking about in May, and by then Ruben van Heerden and
Northguy
and Simon Marat might be back.
But it's
so
funny,
the critical game for me, because I think they can beat the Lions with a mobile team. The critical game might be the one in at Loftus, where going in with having had some of your teeth taken out, like having forwards. If you make forwards teeth, if you've had some of your teeth taken out, you don't want to go to Loftus when that's happened. But the Bulls Stormers derby is always such an odd game.
Yeah, it is, and it'll certainly test the depth of teams in terms of from a derby. They're always brutal.
But that's all in the future. I mean, it's at the moment. I mean, Diamani's moved back to the Cape hasn't even been confirmed yet. But if he's still the player that he was, and he's also been improved in the dark arts by playing under Stuart Lancaster. Of course, Stuart Lancaster's now at Connacht, but he was at Racing 92 when Diamani was there. If he's also improved those aspects of his game, then losing a lock might be offset by the fact that we're getting back a very useful player who could help the Stormers' backs become more potent than they've been recently. Because him popping up there at centre, and maybe he'll bring out the best in somebody like Warwick Gallant, who's been struggling to hit his straps in recent times.
No, look, let's hope so. Look, it's a couple weeks away or a week away.
The Stormers don't play for another 3 weeks. I mean, they're not playing until the 28th.
So, we're just finding some material to talk about from a South African point of view, because it's quite boring right now. Six Nations, there's our picks. Our picks are, yours is Scotland plus 8.5. Mine's England minus 8.5. Neither one of us are betting on Wales, but they'll get another beating.
Yeah.
And Ireland should be resounding victors over Italy, but be interesting to watch from a spectator point of view. Gav, thanks for coming in, and let's hope the rugby weekend's good and every bet you make is a winning one.
And let's hope there's a shock somewhere.
Yeah.
Something to actually like sort of really. I mean, you make out that Italy against Scotland was a big shock, and to me it wasn't so much of a shock because Italy, I think, have beaten Scotland in Italy a few times. But like it would be great if Wales beat France. Let me giggle for the rest of the day.
But I'll get a French tattoo if Wales beat France.
Okay.
Yeah?
I'll do the same.
Okay.
No, I won't. I won't. No, I won't.
Well, no. Anyway, thanks, Gav. Thanks for coming in. And like and subscribe, everybody. And enjoy the rugby this weekend. And, yeah, it should be good.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks, Kim. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.